After being closed for many months, the Cavern Club was acquired in 1991 by Cavern City Tours, its current owners.
February the 1st, 1964, I can still remember it, and they decided that they were going to open the Cavern on a Saturday afternoon just for kids. We were all down here like a shot.
Yes, they're as small as they look. These thumb-sized baby beats are just 12 years old, and up until last Christmas they had no instruments to call their own.
The queue was like a mile long. It was back down the street. We were standing almost outside Hesse's. We thought, we're never going to get in here, but anyway, we stuck it out. Got there at 10 o'clock and got in the club at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And the most memorable thing for me was the heat, the darkness and the noise. It was just like something you'd never experienced before in your life. And, never for 1 minute did I ever think that, I'd own it.
Very, very vague. Obviously, we'd had the club for a few months prior to that, getting it all prepared and ready for action. And it was just a blur. I'll be honest. I've got no real memories of that first night. Probably because we had an exceedingly large amount of alcohol as well.
How about you, Bill?
It's actually crazy that George and I ended up owning the Cavern Club. We only ever went there once, even though I was a big Beatle fan, it was nothing Beatle related. Went to see a Dutch band called Focus, and both had the album, didn't we? Really into Focus those days.
Yep.
Went to the Cavern, went to pay at the door, couldn't find the person to pay. We went down the stairs and then walked to the bar and were looking for someone to pay, and then we realised we were in, and that was it. The only time I ever went to the original Cavern, and we yodeled all the way home, didn't we?
Yeah, got in for nothing, and great night.
Vividly remember that being 1972, I think it was, maybe 73, maybe 72.
I'd say 3.
If you look back, it seems crazy that we ended up owning the Cavern, but when you look at the reality of the Cavern in 1991, 3 people had gone bankrupt, there was no interest in it. It was more like a British Legion, chicken in the basket, curtains, carpet. It just wasn't like what the Cavern should be. So I think one of the main reasons we got it is when we were interviewed, apart from the bid that we had to make, we had a vision which was to return it to its live music origins, and took many years to get there, but we got there.
The fabric was terrible. It had been closed for a while prior to that, so we had to do quite a bit of work on it to get it even up to speed. And we put new carpets in, which were absolutely destroyed in the space of about 3 months. Do you remember?
We put new carpets in?
Yeah.
No, I can't believe we put new carpets in. We ripped the carpets up because we didn't have
and put new ones down. And
I can't remember that.
within that 3 months they were destroyed. Yeah, it was just disco. Not what we wanted, not what we planned, but we knew it was going to be an evolutionary process.
Every time we put live music on, we'd get less people in. It cost us more to put live music on, we'd get less people. So it was a balancing act for the first few years of trying to sort of creep up on people and reorientate everything and put more live music in, but it cost us a lot of money to do it. But we got there in the end. And the best nights were always the Monday. There was a queue right the way almost to Whitechapel, and that's not an exaggeration, is it? Right down the street, past
Student night?
Yeah, student night. 8 o'clock, Monday, opened the doors, and it just went, everybody in, like 8:15 it was full. Both rooms. But we couldn't replicate that with live music. There was no interest in the Cavern when we got it. It really wasn't. And I think we were heavily involved in local music anyway. Matthew Street Festival we started, I think that was 1993. I managed a band called Up and Running, who were massive in Liverpool, and we got a record deal for them. And in fact, one of the two principals of Up and Running, Alex McKechnie, he took over booking bands, and that was a huge boost, because we were getting good contemporary bands in and we were shifting the people that came in. I think the big change was 2008. Liverpool tourism was improving, but 2008 capital culture, I remember 2009 and keeping the information to myself for I think about 7 or 8 weeks, and then to George and Dave presenting the facts, and the facts were that 2008 wasn't a one-off. It had a lasting legacy, and our figures for 2009, the first 6-7 weeks, were higher than 2008 with capital culture. And I think what happened is the number of people that came to Liverpool for capital culture, many of them visiting for the first time, had heard a lot about it. Obviously it'd be very difficult to live in Britain and not hear about Liverpool, the good, bad, the ugly. But there were so many good things about Liverpool that they came, they saw it, and they were completely shocked at how great it was and what it had to offer. Mine's easy, because it was definitely Paul coming back and playing the first time.
That's the obvious one.
And watching him on stage, I just couldn't believe it. He was on for like just over 50 minutes. And bizarrely, when he came back...
That was in 1999, was it?
Yeah, December.
I think that also elevated the status of the Cavern at that time. That pushed us on.
But when he came back and played 2.5 hours and played all the Beatles songs and whatever, it's bizarre looking back. It's not as meaningful for me as that first Paul one. Probably because behind the scenes we were all working hard anyway during the gig. Yeah, but it's just the first time I just looked on stage and just thought, oh my god, it is.
2018 for me surpassed the 1999 one, but the relevance in 1999 was far more significant. I mean, obviously the 30 years, it's had its ups and downs, but as a whole, if you look the way it's gone from strength to strength during that 30-year period, the people we've had working for, all the people who've been involved in it, obviously we couldn't have done it on our own. We relied on a lot of support from great staff, and obviously the support we've had from the public, you know, coming in and seeing it. But I think what we've done is grown the brand, and now we've got a product which we're proud of. And you know, you see people who go down those steps, and when they come out, how happy they are and the experience they've had there, and yeah, that's really gratifying.
And you know, we've just gone through that 16 months of pandemic, and you know, we're in this office now. We were in the office 13 months, our new office. We're only actually in here for about a month. Before 12 months, nobody set foot in the office. And in that period, it's probably the hardest I've ever worked, in as much as 24/7, my mind was just full of what can we do, how can we protect jobs, how do we go forward, have we thought of this, what if this happens. So it's been very stressful, but you know, it looks like we're coming out of it, and the Cavern's here, it's not under any threat. So probably the proudest thing, if you do look back, is the fact that we're here now, 30 years later, and the future of the Cavern is absolutely assured.
we've always considered ourselves as, you know, like the guardians of the cavern, if you like. You know, we'll pass that on at some stage, whether it be to family or whoever comes in after we're no longer here. We just hope and pray that they have the same mentality and philosophy that we have, and that the cavern is, you know, it's the essence and the soul of Liverpool, and, you know, something that needs and must continue. If you do a rough calculation, 30 years, if you had a pint a day, so after
Pint a day?
No, if you had a pint a day, after 3 years you drank 1,000 pints. You've had it for 30 years, so multiply that by 10, that's 10,000 pints. So, on an average of 1 pint a day, which you don't have, but you drink more than 7 pints in a week in there, so it's 10,000 minimum.
How many?
Yeah, I remember one, I was on live BBC, Victoria, who's the other side of the camera now. She actually sang live on the One Show, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah. I don't think it was the One Show, but it was live on BBC. And the interviewer said, it's about 5 o'clock, place was packed. And she said, do you want me to go through the questions? I said, no, I've done that so many times, I just give me the questions as and when. She said, okay, we're going live in a couple of minutes, and it comes out. 3, 2, 1, we're going live. And she asked me a couple of questions, I answered them very easily. And then she said to me, and where do people come from? Do you do market research? And I said, no, do you know what? We stopped doing market research a few years back. It was just a waste of money. We know they come from everywhere. They're 8 to 80. They come from every part of the world. For example, and this beautiful Asian woman came towards me and came into the camera, and I said, excuse me, could you tell me where you're from? And she said, yeah, Bootle. So I'm live on TV and trying to show that they come from all around the world, and Bootle's about 3 miles away from Liverpool. Very embarrassing.